at us rallying all our defenses. Look at us waging war in our bedroom. Look at us jumping ship in our dialogues. There is no difference in what we're doing in here. It doesn't show up as big as symptoms out there. So why spend our time in dressing our bandages and we the ultimate key to the cause right here all underneath. Look at us form our cliques in our sandbox. Look at us micro kids with both our hearts blocked. Look at us turn away from all our off spots. Look at dictatorship on my own log. There is no difference in what we're doing in here. It doesn't show up as big as symptoms out there. So why spend our time dressing our bandages when we've the ultimate key to the cause right here all underneath. How I've spun my wheels with carts before my horse. When shine on the outside springs from the windows. Spotlight on these seeds of simpler reasons. With core born into form starts in my living room. There is no difference in what we're doing in here. It doesn't show up as big as symptoms out there. So why spend our time dressing our bandages when we're the ultimate key to the cause right here all underneath.
With her distinct and powerful voice, she burst onto the scene in 1995 with the release of her Grammy-winning debut, Jagged Little Pill, which turned into a global blockbuster, launching numerous top 10 hits. And this morning, we are so pleased to be spending the next hour with Alanis Morissette, starting now on Private Sessions. My guest today is the multi-Grammy-winning Canadian-American singer-songwriter Alanis Morissette, whose debut album became the best-selling debut by a female artist in the U.S. Welcome, Alanis Morissette, to the show.
Thank you.
It is so good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Now, you just performed Underneath, which is off your brand new studio album, Flavors of Entanglement. So how would you describe the sound and the vibe of this new album? Because you experimented with some new sounds on this, did you not?
Yeah, I worked with Guy Sigsworth this time around, and I wanted to stretch myself and surprise myself, and I heard Let Go, a track that he did with his band Frou Frou with Imogen Heap.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a flawlessly produced track, so I called him up, and he was in London, and I said, would you be up for collaborating? And he said yes. So could have gone either way, but so happy with where it came to.
Yeah, it's great because it's almost in a sense a story. It takes you from one place and then ends at another, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and I also read that you said about this album that each song was almost like a life raft, and I love that description. But I wanted to know what about that can you tell us, in a sense?
Well, I think had I not been writing this record, I would have completely lost it. And I lost it anyway, but I lost it through my songs and just came to the studio and would write every day. And typically I'll write in retrospect.
Right.
But this record was so immediate. What was happening in that moment was going on to tape, period. And
You wrote in real time.
Yeah, real time.
So was that a therapeutic thing, a release for you, or is it still too close even now, maybe?
It was therapeutic. Anytime I journal or write or speak, or anytime I get it out of my system, it's a positive thing. So
I would agree. Well, you look very happy with it.
thanks. I'm psyched. Yeah, it's fusion, really. It's fusion of the tastes that I typically like sonically. And kind of the technological aspect of things is Guy Sigsworth's signature thing, and Andy Page, who worked on it too. They're geniuses. And then the organic, what I also love is the pure sound of instruments. So it's a bit of both.
Yep. Now, all right, people often ask you who your songs are about. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that.
Bless you.
We don't do that here, although I definitely want to. But you do say that there's a really big difference between secrecy and privacy. I want to know how you see the difference.
Well, privacy, I think, is motivated by love and certainly respect of the other people whom I'm writing about and my own personal journey. Secrecy is out of fear, I think, motivated by fear. So I do my best not to be secretive and to be as transparent as I can as a human being, because if I only show certain aspects of myself, it denotes that I am trying to be perfect.
Right.
And I'm trying to be perfect by talking about how I don't want to be perfect right now.
Right.
But this whole perfectionism thing in society is, I think, one of the biggest issues with people's self-esteem on the planet. So through my songs, I just really want to share my humanity. And then, certainly keeping the privacy of the people I write about. It's not about revenge or wanting to attack people. It's wanting to get it out of my body.
Yeah, and it's almost like it works good in so many ways because you get it out, so it's therapeutic, and then people who relate to it get to take whatever they want from it, and it helps them.
Yeah.
And of course, you get to make a living doing what you love.
It's so great to do what I love. And it's just about me until the song is released.
Right.
Then it's not mine anymore.
Exactly.
People make it theirs.
Do you feel like you've reached a new level of intimacy or depth with this record for yourself?
Always. I mean, my aspiration is to further my capacity for intimacy with every person I meet and every relationship I'm in and every record I make. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I can't wait to hear more. Flavors of Entanglement. Just love that name, too. Real quick, is a name as important to you as picking songs on the album?
Yeah, it's all intuitive, and a lot of times the title will just jump out of a song, and that one definitely did.
All right, well, when we come back, we'll find out how Alanis went from a teen pop star to a daring rocker chick. And later, she's going to perform her massive hits, Ironic and Thank You, plus material from her new release, Flavors of Entanglement. Stay with us.
Next week, singer-songwriter Jewel, only on Private Sessions.
Foolish, yeah.
Well, lucky us. Today we are spending the hour with Alanis Morissette, who recorded her first single when she was just 10 years old. And all the while she was acting in the children's show, You Can't Do That on Television, where she literally got covered in green slime and then went on to become a teen idol. You started out your career, you're young, and you have two successful dance pop albums in Canada, and then you leave Canada and you do this total 180. What happened?
Well, to me, it really didn't feel like a 180. I was writing music that was maybe 5% personal as a teenager, and I don't think I would have had the emotional breadth or courage, really, to back that up. Had I been writing personal songs at 16, I would have exploded, probably. So once I moved, though, from Canada to Los Angeles, I committed to myself that I would write a record that really felt like myself. And I wouldn't stop until I did that. So when I met Glenn Ballard, his invitation to me at that time was, let's just see who you are, just write who you are. And that was a perfect match at the
Yeah,
time.
I was going to say, you guys had definitely had a special, he kind of gave you your wings, so to speak, in that
Yeah.
sense of the freedom to write, which is great.
Yeah, he did. It was just an invitation, and it was safe too. There were
Yeah.
no preconceived notions about what he wanted to hear from me, as there had been in Canada at that time.
Right. And that's
So-
understandable, too. Starting out, everyone thinks they know what you should wear and what you should sing.
Right.
And
The whole should thing's hilarious, isn't it?
it is. It's pretty funny.
Should,
All right,
it's
so
funny.
we need to back up a little bit because I need to
Yes.
ask you if there was a... Did you really get mugged in L.A. and the robber took everything but your songs that ended up being Jagged Little Pill?
Yeah.
That did happen
Yeah,
to
I
you.
was held up at gunpoint, and
It was at gunpoint. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
yeah, and he asked for all my things, and I just loved him so much in that moment. I was just like, oh, I love you. It must be so terrible to be
Oh.
asking me to give you all my things right now. So then I gave him all my things, and I just kept saying, please don't take my bag. Please don't take my bag. I didn't say it to him, but I
Yeah.
said it in my head. And he didn't take my bag, and he left.
So if he had taken your bag, do you think that Jagged Little Pill would have happened? Would you have been able to duplicate? I mean, were you already working on them with Glenn at the time, or were they just notes that you could never get back?
There were notes that I couldn't get back, but I feel very abundant about it. The place from whence all the stuff comes is always filled, so I'm
So
not
there's a
worried
way
about
of-
that.
That
It
makes
would have been
sense.
all fine.
All right, so you went from
Yeah.
other people writing your songs for you, which really didn't express who you were,
Yeah,
to
well, they didn't actually write it for me, but
Well,
I wrote it with them, and it was
yeah.
more kind of fictional.
fictional stuff.
I was
as
writing
opposed to-
songs when I was 10 about finding the right man, so it was all kind of, I'd like to say prophecy, but it was really just kind of me making words up that sounded good at the
Well,
time.
you liked words young early on,
Yes,
didn't you?
words are fun.
You were an old soul, obviously.
I don't know. And very, very immature at the same time, kind of both.
So, well, writing about your truths, writing it is one thing, but
Right.
actually having to perform these truths now all of a sudden
Right.
must have been a major adjustment. Was it a natural transition, or was it more of like, I'm so exposed, I'm terrified?
Less exposed for me being on stage because I can hide behind the guitar or my bandmates. I could hide behind the kind of fervor that's going on in the room. I
Interesting
think
you said I can hide on stage. Like, it's the last place I would think of.
I
but-
can. It's. I think I can hide behind the performance of it.
Okay.
Having a conversation, way more vulnerable
I suppose you're right. That's
for
true.
me, anyway.
Well, so your album, Jagged Little Pill, finally, thank God the robber didn't take the notes, and the album came out, of course, mega album for you. Was it true that a DJ broke this? I mean, I know it was released worldwide, but you ought to know, was there an LA DJ that actually, I'd heard
I
stories
think
about,
on K-Rock.
Okay, that's
someone
what it
played it
was.
on K-Rock.
and then it just kind of sparked it from there.
Our first show that we did, I think it was my 21st birthday.
Wow.
We did 2 shows in LA at clubs, and the first night we did it at a place called Luna Park, which I don't think exists anymore, and there weren't a lot of people there.
Really?
And the next night, I think the day that K-Rock played it, the next night there was a lineup around the building, and people were singing You Ought to Know really loudly to the point where I couldn't even hear myself. So it was within a 24-hour period.
Oh my
So it's
goodness.
crazy.
What goes through your mind when you're starting to break, and not just when that happened here in the States, but worldwide? I mean, it was a phenomenon.
It was. It went from also, we did a tour around America in a van in clubs, 200 seaters maybe, and then within a month or two we were playing arenas. So there was also the adjustment of barely being able to be a boss at 21. I'm barely able to be a boss now. So, and then being catapulted in this position of being this leader, and I was still trying to find my own parental figures at that time. So
I
that
bet.
was a big adjustment too.
Did you enjoy it though at any time? I mean, initially in the beginning, it's got to be like an alien nation going on around you, like oh my God.
Yeah, I enjoyed the adventure of it. I remember at one point thinking when I fell asleep, I was going back to a much more doable reality in my sleep. And then when I woke up, I felt like I was in the dream state. So it was pretty surreal for a long time.
Coming up, how Alanis Morissette became a symbol for female passion and empowerment, plus her massive hit Ironic, live right here in our studio when Private Sessions returns right after this.
It's like rain on your wedding day. It's a free ride when you've already paid.
Once again, here's Alanis Morissette with Ironic.
No man turn It's a black fly in your Chardonnay. It's a death row pardon, 2 minutes too late. And isn't it ironic? Don't you think it's like rain on your wedding day? It's a free ride when you've already paid. It's the good advice that you just didn't take. And who would have thought it figures? Mr. Play it safe was afraid to fly. He packed his suitcase, he kissed his kids goodbye. He waited his whole damn life to take that flight. And as the plane crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice? And isn't it ironic? Don't you think it's like you just didn't take? And who would have thought it figures? Well, life is a funny way. Sneak out on you when you think everything's okay, and everything's going right. And yeah, well, life is a funny way of helping you out when you think everything's gone wrong, and everything goes up in your face. Traffic jam when you're already late. No smoking sign on your cigarette break. It's like 10,000 spoonfuls when all you need is a knife. It's meeting the man of my dreams and meeting his beautiful husband. And isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Too ironic, yeah, I really do think it's like rain on your wedding day. It's a free ride when you already paid. It's the good advice that you just didn't take. And who would have thought it figured?
That was Ironic from Alanis Morissette, which was one of her biggest hits from Jagged Little Pill, which ended up being the highest-selling debut album worldwide, and I think it broke a couple of other records as well. It was just insane. And before we took a break, you were telling me that when that record was released at the tender age of 21, within 24 hours, people were lined up and they were screaming and singing You Ought to Know. You also became a big symbol for female empowerment and passion and its need for expression, obviously. I mean, did it surprise you that there were so many people, including, you know, young women especially, who just really connected to your music? Was it surprising?
Yeah, it was surprising, and I think I was comforted by the fact that people were using it for their own comfort or betterment or whatever they were using it for at the time. I look back in retrospect now and realize how important it is for expression in my own life to be happening all the time. So to think that I was encouraging that in other people, big thumbs up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And you know what was really crazy, too, to me, was the fact that the press focused on you being an angry young woman, when reality, I'm laughing because there's millions of angry young fans out there, and there's the story, and they're just zeroing in on. Did you like that title? I mean, I can't imagine that anyone would, because you weren't really angry.
Well, I had anger in me, but it was the one-dimensionalizing of you are just this, you are just spiritual, or you are just angry. You know, that's just violent to me. So But anger is such a beautiful life force that, you know, there could be worse things to be considered.
There's certainly.
So, you know, I'll take that.
Did you ever find fame at any point just completely overwhelming and want to just give it all up? Had it ever gotten to that point for you?
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere about you saying you didn't laugh but twice in an entire year.
Yeah, that was a rough
That's
time.
tough.
I think because I was, and still am, such a people watcher, my favorite thing to do is just stare and watch people in action. So I turned into the watch-ed. People were watching me, and I'm Canadian, and I have all these shame issues. So all of a sudden, people were staring at me.
You think it was because you were Canadian?
I think so. I blame it all on my culture. No, yeah, I think I wanted to watch other people, and people were watching me, so that was an adjustment. And I remember not being able to leave my hotel room during certain periods, and people had snuck into my hotel room while I was on tour and left notes in my bed, and everything felt so invaded and misinterpreted. And I remember thinking that if that was the way it was going to be, it was unsustainable for me.
So you definitely were thinking about hanging up the towel at one point.
Yeah, or jumping off a bridge.
Oh, well, we're
Something.
so happy you didn't do that.
Me too.
And you actually, obviously you did, because you stuck around and you did the follow-up, supposed former infatuation junkie.
I have a longer title. I love that record. It was built in the middle of the fire. And Thank You, to me, is the kind of epicenter of that record, to me, the song Thank You. Because it just spoke to how I felt when I finally relaxed and stepped away from all the heat, as I saw it.
Yeah. Well, at what point did you feel comfortable finally again challenging yourself and not really caring about your audience's perceptions and things?
I never cared about that. I think, thankfully, when I write in a studio, I have the capacity to be able to insulate myself enough to not worry about what's going on. But it was a challenge, and I didn't want to write anymore. I wanted to just go away and be a brown-haired girl in her sweatpants.
When we come back, Alanis Morissette performs another huge hit, Thank You, when A&E's Private Sessions continues right after this.
Thank you, India. Thank you, Terror. Thank you, Disillusionment. The doesn't show.
Alanis Morissette, Flavors of Entanglement, her first studio album in over 4 years. Featuring Underneath, available June 10th.
From Alanis Morissette's second album, Supposed Former Infatuation Junkie, here is the Grammy-nominated single, Thank You.
How about getting off all these antibiotics? How about stopping eating when I am full of? How about them transparent dangling carrots? How about that ever elusive good-old? Thank you, India. Thank you, Terror. Thank you, Disillusionment. Thank you, Frailty. Thank you, Consequence. Thank you, Silence. How about me not blaming you for everything? How about me enjoying the moment for once? How about how good it feels to finally forgive you? How about grieving it all one at a time? Thank you, India. Thank you, passionately bawling your eyes out. How about not equating death with stopping? Thank you, India. Thank you, Providence. Thank you, disillusionment. Thank you, nothingness. Thank you, clarity. Thank you, silence. Yeah,
That was Thank You, another one of Alanis Morissette's top international hits, one of my personal favorites, too.
Oh, cool. Me too.
All right, so let's talk about the writing process. Do songs come really easily for you, and or do you just throw them out if they don't, and or do you keep them for like puzzle pieces and fit them in somewhere? How does it work?
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's like writing. It's like a conversation. If it doesn't write itself, if it's a belabored process, I just stop.
Okay. And you literally like trash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate this. Move on. But songs write themselves pretty quickly. 10 minutes sometimes, 20 minutes. This last record, I would say 20 minutes is the average
Really?
it took to write each song, yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it's really an accelerated process. And it's immediate too. A lot of the vocals are the same take from the demo, and so are the guitar takes. And there's something about capturing that visceral moment that's important to me.
Right. Well, especially too, because you said you wrote this new album, Flavors of Entanglement, in real time, which is not normally your MO. Usually you write. Do journals actually come into the retrospective writing? Do you journal a lot?
Yeah.
You do?
I bring all my journals in. Typically a record consists of 2 journals worth.
Okay.
And by the time I wrote this record, I had about 6.
Ooh.
But a lot of it I didn't even access or refer to because everything was so immediate that I just had to keep up with what was going on in the present moment.
Yeah, I heard you had like 25 songs actually, and you had to hack it down to 11.
Yeah.
What happens to all the rest of those songs? Is it another album? Do you throw those away?
Well, those,
I hope
I
not.
happen to like these ones a lot.
Oh,
So
okay.
they'll show up, you know, exclusive things here and
Nice,
there, maybe
nice.
soundtracks. I'm writing a book too, so they'll most likely wind up being in a CD in the back of the book.
Interesting you should bring that up because I would like to talk to you about that.
Ah.
You've been working on it for a little while now, and I heard it was an
Yeah.
unusual project?
Unusual. I don't know
You're
what's
just
usual.
so unusual. I don't know.
What is usual?
Yeah.
No, I've been thinking about writing it for a long time, and it's no different from songwriting in the sense that it's immediate and fast. So
Is it autobiographical or is it can you divulge?
it's not a memoir.
Okay.
I just didn't want to do a memoir.
Okay.
But it is personal, and I do share a lot of my personal experiences in it. But it's more of an art / helpful offering, you know, kind of offering things that have supported me on my journey, and then sharing my own humanity and how to kind of nurture my relationship with my own self, with spirit or source.
Yeah.
Talking about abuse, relationships, all the stuff I live for.
Has it become, in retrospect, become, that word's been used a lot today.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Has it become easier for you, looking back, to write about really difficult experiences in your life, or is it still challenging to you even now?
Well, pain's no fun, but transmuting pain and being the phoenix rising out of the ashes is really fun.
Yeah.
So that's the part I love.
Yeah, and it reminds
yeah.
me a lot about this album
Ah.
and how it ends. I don't want to give away
Yeah.
the end, though. You'll have to go get it. I love it. It's like an
Yeah.
album, like a story.
Yeah, it is. It really chronologizes this whole section of my life and the rising out of it.
All right, so we talked about writing songs. We talked about a book in the works, which we'll hear about soon. I also heard you just finished on a new movie.
Yeah.
And when will we see that?
I don't know when that is coming out, but it's movie based on the book by Philip K. Dick called Radio Free Albemuth. And it's the first lead role that I took on formally, and the character I portray is this lovely creature named Sylvia who hears messages from Valus, which is the equivalent of God, through a satellite. And
Which you've played before, too.
incidentally. Yes, and so yeah, it was fun and scary, and I saw footage from it, and I'm really proud. I can't even believe it happened. That's so cool.
Something tells me you like things that are scary because you like challenging yourself.
Yeah, I like being terrified.
Well, it makes you realize you're still alive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and there's something about awkwardness and humanness that is so attractive to me.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. But first, another hit from Alanis Morissette's So-Called Chaos. Here's 8 Easy Steps.
How to stay paralyzed by fear of abandonment. How to defer to an unsolvable predicament. How to control someone to be a carbon copy of you. How to have that not work and have them run away from you. How to keep people at arm's length and never get too close. How to mistrust the ones you supposedly love the most. How to pretend you're fine and don't need help from anyone. How to feel worthless unless you're serving. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. Course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. Show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. How to hate women when you're supposed to be a feminist. How to pray all pious when you're really a hypocrite. How to hate God when you're a prayer and a spiritualist. How to sabotage your fantasies, and I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. Course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. Show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. I've been doing research for years. I've been practicing my ass off. I've been training my whole life for this moment. I swear to you, culminating just to be this well-versed leader before you. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. Course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. Show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. How to lie to yourself and never lie to everyone else. How to keep smiling when you're thinking of killing yourself. How to know how to avoid going with them. How to stay stuck in blue by game. I'll teach you all this in 8 easy steps. Course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. Show you how leadership looks when taught by the best. In 8 easy steps. Course of a lifetime you'll never forget. I'll show you how to in 8 easy steps. Show you how leadership looks when taught by the best.
Alanis Morissette performs her new song Tapes when A&E's Private Sessions returns. Don't go anywhere, you don't want to miss this.
All these tapes in my head swirl around, keeping my
Welcome back to Private Sessions. My guest, Alanis Morissette. I've been having such a great time
Me
with you
too.
this hour. I can't believe it's almost over. We've been talking about her brand new album, Flavors of Entanglement, new movie coming out, book coming out. Now I'm going to take a back seat and I'm going to let someone else ask a few questions if you don't mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Take a look.
Oh.
Hi, Alanis.
Hi, Roma.
It's Roma Mafia, your fellow elf from Nip Tuck. What I didn't tell you and didn't really express to you on the show was before we worked together, is I am a huge Alanis Morissette fan. I put my CD in of your singing, and I have been screaming to it in my car. Such joy you give to me before I knew you and knowing you now. Thank you. Now, my question, three-part. One, how would you describe what it feels like to walk into a stadium with thousands of fans cheering for you and singing your songs? B, what does it feel like to walk onto a set when you're just about to act? And C, who was the better kisser, me or that other chick from whatever in the city? I love you.
Oh, I love her.
I'm gonna choke up.
She's great.
Yes.
Oh, so
sweet.
do you remember 1, A, and B, and C?
My brain, memory-wise, is the size of a flea. So I think the first one was, how does it feel to be in a stadium?
Yeah, have people screaming thousands and singing your songs.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
I'm watching them as much as they're watching me. So
That's right, because you're a people watcher.
I'm a people watcher.
I know that now.
So I love to watch the peoples.
Yeah.
The second one was...
How does it feel to walk on a set when you're about to do a role?
Oh, terrifying.
Yeah.
I'll get my bearings.
Why is that? Because you're now all of a sudden not being you, which is normally what you do with your music. It's kind of enveloping another...
Well, I hide behind movement and music and hair. So when you're doing a
I know.
scene, hi. So when you have your hair in a ponytail and you're speaking and having to memorize lines, I don't have the best short-term memory. So memorizing lines is actually a real sort of challenge for me. Whereas other actors whom I've worked with, they'll read it and they got it in 3 seconds.
Yeah. It's like a muscle, though, I have to say. If you do it a
is.
lot...
It's true, you're doing
You
it.
can, yeah. No one knows. No. Giving away my secrets.
Sorry,
I'm vulnerable.
you're good at it.
No.
And then the third question was the kissing competition.
Yeah. Apparently, I missed this episode of Nip Tuck.
Wow. Distinctly different and unique. That's my answer.
All right. I like it. It was very diplomatic.
Yeah, well, it's true.
All right. So I really want to ask you now is how often you are still acting these days. I know we talked about the movie, but are you doing any other projects, or are you going to be showing up on Curb Your Enthusiasm again, which was one of my favorite episodes, by
Oh,
the way?
that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm open to it at all times, and I'm constantly in conversation. It's really about bridging the calendars. Singing and acting, they compete a lot. And music is a little easier for me because once we lock in a tour or I lock in a commitment to being in the studio, but movies, they push and they move. And
Yeah.
so I definitely look forward to acting again, though, lots of time.
Yeah. Well, I had to know, though, on that scene with Curb Your Enthusiasm, did you really tell Larry what the You Oughta Know song was
Who was
based
it
on?
about?
Yeah.
Of course not.
You didn't tell him?
No.
Good for you. So you kept it, you've been able to keep that all along.
Yeah.
So is it going to be when you're 106? And you're like,
No, I will go
they
to my
wheel you
grave.
out. All right, I'll tell you.
Well, I'll never talk about who I write about.
That's a
ever.
really cool thing about you. I really appreciate that.
I'm
a
sure the
lot.
people do too that I write about. Unless they wanted me to talk about them. But even then, that wouldn't be what I'd want to do.
No, and then you wouldn't be able to continue doing what you do without
Right.
people like always analyzing. Oh, should I have not said that in front of you? Is it going to end up in a song or?
Right. Yeah, I have some people, after I've hung out with them for a certain amount of time, they'll give me the green light. They'll say, you can write anything you want about this. So that's sweet.
You're about to embark on this huge tour behind this new album. Are you looking forward to it? Is it any different now than it was maybe when you first started? Have you kind of got it down to a science where you're comfortable with touring?
I do. Way better at self-care.
Yeah.
Surrounded by people at this point, a lot of whom I've known for so many years.
They
that
tell you to eat.
They tell me to eat.
Yeah.
They don't have. No one has to tell me to eat.
Good. I'm
I
glad.
love to eat. So yeah, fine art now.
Yeah.
Easy to tour, fun. I set better boundaries so I can say no and I'm not exhausted and depressed to high heaven. So it's great.
Well, I wish we didn't run out of time because now I want to know how you set those boundaries. There's a lot of women out there that even to this day look at you as kind of the guru who helped them get through some pretty tough times in their life. And
Well, I'm
it's
writing
always
all
great.
about it in the book. So
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I look forward to that. Do you know the title?
Yeah.
Is it a working title for the book? yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah.
All right. We don't want to jinx anything. Not that I believe in jinxes anyway.
I don't either.
Well, before I say goodbye, you're going to play one more song for us?
I'd love to.
From the new album?
Yeah.
Excellent. Go grab yourself a copy. Flavors of Entanglement. It's in stores now. Alanis Morissette, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks
it was
for
such
having
a pleasure.
Yeah, me too.
I I'm someone easy to leave, even easier to forget. A voice if inaccurate. Again, I'm the one they all run from. Diatribes of clouded sun. Someone help me find the pause button. All these tapes in my head swirl around, keeping my vibe down. All these thoughts in my head are my own, wreaking havoc. I'm too exhausting to be loved. A volatile chemical, best to quarantine and cut off. All these tapes in my head swirl around, keeping my vibe down. All these thoughts in my head are my own, wreaking havoc. All these tapes in my head swirl around, keeping my vibe down. All these thoughts in my head are my own, wreaking havoc. I'm but a thorn in your sweet side. You'd be better off without me. It'd be best to leave at once. All these tapes in my head swirl around, keeping my vibe down. All these thoughts in my head are my own, wreaking havoc.
For more on Alanis Morissette, go to our private sessions page on our website at aetv.com. We're also eager to hear what you have to say about our show, so you can join our discussion board or just email us directly at privatesessions@aetn.com.
Next week, a new sound from singer-songwriter Jewel. Plus, in 2 weeks, exclusive performances from Counting Crows. I'm Lynn Hoffman, and I'll see you next time on Private Sessions.